Let's start with a detail that seems small, but might be the key to everything. Jack talks about things that simply didn't exist in 1912, the year the Titanic sank. Right off the bat, he mentions he used to go ice fishing on Lake Wissota, in Wisconsin. Sounds peaceful, romantic, except there's one issue. That lake is man-made and wasn't created until 1917, 5 years after the Titanic went down. And that's not all. Later, Jack tells Rose he'll take her on a ride on the roller coaster at Santa Monica Pier. But guess what? That roller coaster wasn't opened until 1916. Coincidence? Script error? Or a breadcrumb left by James Cameron himself? Let's be honest, a film with that level of detail and historical accuracy would really slip up like that? Or is it possible we just didn't realize that Jack might not be an ordinary man? If we buy into the theory that Jack is a time traveler, suddenly it all fits. He could have come from decades into the future, casually referencing places that didn't exist yet. These temporal slip-ups are just normal to him. He's used to the future. And think about it, Jack is ahead of his time in every way. In his ideas, his free-spirited nature, the way he treats Rose, his whole worldview. He doesn't fit into that elitist, rigid world. He's there to challenge it. Maybe these historical mistakes aren't mistakes at all. Maybe they're signals. Jack Dawson might have been placed on that ship with one clear goal, to change Rose's fate, and with it, the future. Now that we've accepted the possibility that Jack could be a time traveler, let's go a step further. What if he's more than that? What if Jack is a temporal guardian, sent back in time with a very specific and incredibly important mission? To save Rose DeWitt Bukater. Why would a bored, wealthy young woman be so crucial to the future of humanity? Bolder theories suggest that Rose could be the ancestor of someone vital to the future. Someone who, maybe, invents a global cure, prevents a war, or leads a technological revolution. If Rose had died on the Titanic, that bloodline would have been erased, and the future would collapse. And who stops her from jumping off the ship that first night of despair? He appears out of nowhere at the exact moment, like he knows precisely where and when to be. He talks her down, brings her back to life. Literally. That's not just a romantic moment. That's a temporal rescue operation. And after that, everything he does is to keep Rose alive. He doesn't chase luxury or money. He doesn't try to escape with her. He risks everything, stands up to her fiancé, takes on security guards, and in the end, sacrifices himself so she can survive. Seriously, think about it. Could Jack have fit on that wooden door? Maybe. But what if he knew his time was up? That he was only meant to be there for that moment? When he tells her to grow old and warm in a bed and live a long, full life, it sounds less like a romantic wish and more like a directive. A final instruction from someone who's seen what must happen. Mission accomplished. Jack disappears. But the future remains intact. Now let's talk about one of the most iconic and controversial scenes in cinema. Rose lying on the couch, wearing nothing but the heart of the ocean while Jack draws her. In the context of the time travel theory, this scene takes on a whole new layer. It's not just a moment of intimacy, it's almost a symbolic act. Jack is recording Rose as she's meant to be remembered, alive, free, and in control of her own destiny. Think about it. If Jack knows he's going to vanish, that his existence is temporary, he needs to leave something behind. A trace, a time-stamped message. And that drawing is the message. It's no coincidence that decades later, that portrait is what resurfaces and reignites the entire story of the Titanic. It's like the drawing is a temporal anchor, something that links past and future. A way to make sure that, even with the ship lost and Jack gone, their story isn't erased from history. And there's more. Rose keeps that drawing safe. She treasures it. Deep down, maybe she always sensed that Jack was more than just a guy with a pencil. And the necklace? She throws it into the ocean, right above the wreckage of the Titanic, as if she's returning it to time itself. The kind of ritual. A way to honor the one who came, fulfilled his mission, and vanished. Too poetic to be a coincidence, don't you think? Let's be honest. The more you look, the more Jack seems like someone who was just inserted into the story. Out of nowhere, no past, no documents, no connections. He says he won the Titanic ticket in a poker game, like he stumbled into destiny. But no one on the ship seems to know him. No family, no friends, no backstory. No photos, no letters, not even a little bag of keepsakes. Nothing. The guy's a ghost. Literally a man with no identity. And that fits perfectly with the idea that he's a temporary figure, created for one mission only. like a time agent designed to show up at a specific point in history, do his part, and disappear. And here's the weirdest part. After the tragedy, no one mentions him. No records. No body. The only person who remembers Jack is Rose. So what if he never truly existed? What if Jack was a temporal manifestation, a time fixer, like a variant in Loki from the Marvel Universe? A being that emerges, corrects the timeline, and fades out. In that case, Rose becomes the keeper of his memory, the only one who knows something bigger happened there, bigger than love, a shift in time itself. Jack Dawson, the artist with no past, might be one of cinema's greatest temporal mysteries, hidden in a romantic drama. Disguised as a dreamy hero, but maybe, just maybe, a time traveler sent to change history. The final scene of Titanic is, without exaggeration, one of the most discussed and emotional in film history. Elderly Rose lies down in her bed, and in a soft transition, we see her back on the Titanic, young again, radiant, walking through the grand staircase. And there's Jack, waiting for her. They reunite. Everyone who died on the ship is there, clapping. Many interpret this scene as the moment of Rose's death, a symbolic representation of her reuniting with her great love. But if we lean into the Jack as a time traveler theory, things get much deeper. What if that reunion isn't just heaven? What if it's the moment the timeline closes? The loop completes. Jack wasn't dead. He had simply returned to his original reality. And he was waiting for Rose, who finally arrived. Maybe Rose always knew Jack was something more, that he came from somewhere else, that their love was bigger than that historical moment. That's why she never forgot him. That's why she never replaced him. She lived the life he told her to, long, full of adventure, but she kept the secret to herself. That grand staircase? It could be a place outside of time, a space where memories and fates cross, where they can finally be together, free from the mission, free from time. The truth might be this: the greatest mystery of Titanic was never the sinking of the ship, but the man who appeared, changed everything, and vanished without a trace. And the woman who carried that secret with her to the very end. After everything we've explored, we have to admit, Titanic can absolutely be seen through a different lens, as a story that invites bold interpretations. But let's take a step back. It's important to remember that many of the clues suggesting Jack is a time traveler also have very real-world explanations. For example, the errors about Lake Wissota and the Santa Monica roller coaster? They're actually confirmed historical mistakes by James Cameron himself. He later admitted he didn't know the dates during the writing process, meaning those weren't hidden Easter eggs, just accidental anachronisms. And the fact that Jack has no documents? Not that unusual either. Many third-class passengers traveled light, and the chaos of the ship's sinking made record-keeping nearly impossible. Plus, the entire story is told solely from Rose's perspective, so our view of Jack is already limited. So, as fun and intriguing as the time traveler theory may be, it definitely has holes that weaken its credibility. But that's exactly what makes cinema so fascinating. It allows for this kind of mental adventure. It lets us look at a story we've seen a dozen times and ask, what if? And even if Jack isn't a time traveler, he was undeniably a catalyst for change, a character who altered lives and left a mark forever. And in the end, that alone is magical enough, isn't it?